movies now all of a sudden popped in my head as you're sharing, and I'm envisioning you going out in the van with the reporter. I think of one of my favorite movies is Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Bill Murray.
Sure.
So you were the camera guy with Bill Murray.
Yeah, that's right.
And doing everything except the actual broadcasting or the
That's right.
announcing piece.
Yeah, he'd be the on-air guy, and I was the guy that would do the recording.
You remember highlights from those years, things that just stand out to your mind to this day that are human interest like or out of the ordinary, or you came across a story that was very interesting. Anything come to mind?
Well, all kinds of stories. 5 forest fires or wildfires was always a little bit nervous.
Okay.
Because you'd be driving your truck looking for the fire.
Okay.
That's not too wise.
Right.
So, there were times when you would go looking for a story and you kind of wonder if, this is a little bit dangerous and maybe we should back off. There was a time we had, it was boxing at the arena.
Okay.
I don't know, was it boxing? It was like MMA in its day.
Okay.
Whatever it was, wrestling,
Some kind of cage fighting or martial arts or...
Exactly.
Okay.
I was sent on an assignment to get video of this.
Okay.
So you had your camera and your recorder on your shoulder, and then you had a light. You had to have a light, otherwise it was too dark. So I was, trying to get video of the audience.
Right.
And I turned the light on, and they would start, giving me a hard time.
Right.
And these were small people. These were like big guys. And they were getting angry that I was putting this white light in their faces. So I did the best I could to get as much as I could. But the next day, the news editor says, you didn't quite get us all the footage that I thought you were going to get. And I said, well, that's because all the bikers were trying to kill me as I was getting what you got. So, I thought, cut me a little bit of slack. At least I survived.
You got out of there alive.
Exactly.
Did you win awards during that time? Were there things to get recognized that you would be able to, I got a little bit of a monkey in me. I'd like to somehow stick it to BCIT.
Well, I won the
having
first
let
year
you
award.
get in there.
I won the top student first year at Fanshawe.
Fabulous.
The television production. So I got $100 and a plaque.
Fabulous.
Next year, the second year, we did a soap opera, and one of the other guys was a producer director, and we did a fantastic soap opera series of shows in our second year that was fabulous. He won the second year, and he certainly deserved it.
So it was a 2-year course?
Yeah, 2 years, full-time, television only.
Out of that, you came back to Vancouver, you go to Kelowna,
Right.
You get some technical experience,
Right.
Then you go out into the world as a partner of a broadcaster, driving and filming and doing everything to put news stories together.
Well, being a
Human
news
interest?
photographer, it's just a different job. You're a master control operator, you're a production switcher, you're a director, you're a news photographer, you're a studio guy, you're a bunch of different jobs. The more jobs you do, the more rounded your knowledge.
Where did you go from there?
The problem with Kelowna is that it's a resort community, like you say, and the wages were terrible. The wages were horrendous. In those days, that was 1978, 1979, and it was barely survivable. I mean, honest to God, we could barely live on the salary. So I looked for like greener pastures, and so I went to Calgary and applied for a job there and got a job there. Packed up, moved to Calgary, and I was there for 31 years working for the same TV station.
31 years. Calgary is east of Vancouver, east of British Columbia. It's in Alberta. It's in the mountains. It's kind of like a Denver.
It's a prairie city next to the mountains.
Next to the mountains. Cold winters.
It can be very cold, very, very cold. Absolutely.
You were in the same station there the whole 31 years?
That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What were the jobs that you did inside those 31 years?
Well, I was a switcher director.
Okay.
Well, actually, when I got hired, I was a studio director. So I was in the studio, setting up the sets, miking the talent, and timing out the show, back timing the show. For example, you have a news show, and when it ends at 5:30, it has to end at 5:30, not 5:31.
Yeah.
So part of the floor director's job during the newscast was to back time the show from the end of the show to make sure we never went over.
Okay.
So the director would call the show, and the studio director would direct the talent, track on the time, make sure that the show ended when it was supposed to end.
You held that job most of the time, or did you get other experiences?
Well, I was
inside
floor
the
director
studio?
for 5 or 6 years,
Okay.
and then the rest of the time was switcher director.
And that was rewarding to you. You enjoyed it, or you were looking
yeah, I
for
love my
something
job.
else?
I
It
love
was
my job.
it was a plateau. It was a place you wanted to be.
Exactly. Well, it was my goal.
Right.
My goal was to be a television production guy, and I was there. I was in the chair, operating the production switcher, being the last button pushed before it goes out on the air. So you're the last check to make sure the quality is, to station standards.
Famous people you met during that time?
All kinds of famous people.
What's a story or two that comes to
Okay,
mind?
well, here's a guy that you probably haven't heard of. His name is Pete Barbuti.
Nope.
Pete Barbuti. He was a jazz musician
Okay.
in the United States, and he was on a lot of, he was on Johnny Carson. He was like a minor celebrity in the United States. And we did a lot of productions back in the day in Calgary. And one of the productions we did was Celebrity Microwaves with Pete Barbuti. And so he came up and he did a few seasons of his microwave cooking show, and he would bring in celebrity guests that he could get a hold of. The Dynamite guy,
Okay.
Jimmy J.J. Walker, was on our show.
Wow.
So we had bunch of these like minor celebrities, all brought to us by Pete Barbuti, the most beautiful man, one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. He was just an awesome guy, and he treated the crew like gold. And we had a great time doing Celebrity Microwaves with Pete Barbuti.
Practical jokes. You became a family. Was there the usual drama of a family? Was it a good work environment most of those 31 years?
It was very serious, like we had a lot of fun. It was a very fun job, but extremely professional. We had great leadership, we had great directors, producers, great managers, and we were also a union shop.
Okay.
So I thought I wasn't a union member when I was in Kelowna, but when we moved to Calgary, I became a union member. And after a while, I began to appreciate the professionalism that being a union member brings to the job.
Right.
Where you're not there to be praised by the boss.
Right.
You're not there for a bonus. You're there because you're representing, the profession. You're a professional person, and everyone else expects you to be professional. And so to do the best job you can, and to help out where you can, make it as good a show as possible. And so that's the way we operated. And so I thought we did an excellent job for the whole 31 years of being a professional operation.
Get to travel internationally, part of your job at all?
Lake Louise.
Okay.
They did specials in with celebrities. More Hollywood celebrities would come up to Lake Louise, and they had a big weekend in Lake Louise. And so I was part of the EFP crew at the time. Like I didn't always. When I was a floor director, I also did EFP, like electronic field production, they called it at the time.
Okay.
It's like a film crew, for TV.
Sure.
But it was like more than like news. It was like more lights, more more production value, you know, more setup, more spaces, you know, like more time spent on each production. You know, it's for more for commercial production and show production rather than news. So when I was part of that crew, I was made it up with like a photographer. I was the EFP recordist.
Okay.
So in that day, we were still using reel-to-reel videotape.
Wow.
This is 1-inch tape, and the reels were stacked, where one reel was on top of the other on this portable machine on a cart,
Right.
connected by a cable to the camera.
Right.
And so the photographer would operate the camera, and he would like be the director of the production. And I was operating, make sure that the recording happened, make sure the audio was good, and make sure everything worked. So and help set up the lights and all that sets and all that stuff. So when we were in Lake Louise, we were skiing with these celebrities. You had to ski to be part of this job. And so I was carrying the tripod, the photographer had his film camera, and we were skiing up and down Lake Louise following these celebrities getting shots. And then at night, they would have like a big parties and stuff, and we'd be in amongst, you know, them shooting it. And like, it was great for us because as a union, we had overtime, and this is all unscheduled overtime like crazy. So, you know, well, when I retired in 2011, I wanted to become an inventor, and I had an idea in mind.
And work together with good people, just like I like to do. All right, Ron, tell us about the inventions, beginning to end, where you want to go with it, freewheeling. Hey, this has been fantastic. Inventor Ron, I really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And